Welcome to this explainer. Look, forget about work from home Fridays for a second. Today, we are unpacking a massive structural evolution in global talent acquisition. We're looking at a real shift in how the world's most competitive companies are operating, driven entirely by the explosive rise of remote work and digital nomad visas. This isn't just about employee perks anymore. It's fundamentally reshaping long-term corporate hiring strategies from the ground up.
Seriously, think about that for a second. What if the absolute perfect candidate for your most critical, hardest to fill vacancy just isn't in your city, your time zone, or even your hemisphere? For decades, corporate hiring strategies were totally geographically boxed in. If you were headquartered in Chicago, you hired in Chicago, or you paid an absolute fortune in executive relocation packages. But now, the boundaries of the traditional labor market have essentially evaporated. We really have to reframe remote work not as some temporary pandemic-era hangover, but as the new, permanent battleground for corporate loyalty and top-tier global talent.
All right, here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The new talent battleground. 2. Solving skilled labor shortages. 3. Boosting corporate ESG goals. 4. Downsides and compliance risks. And 5. A remote management master checklist. Let's jump right in.
Starting off with Section 1, the new talent battleground, and rethinking the workspace.
So what exactly is a digital nomad? The crucial point here is understanding that a digital nomad is fundamentally different from someone just doing a hybrid mix of home and office work. These are individuals operating completely outside of the country where their employer is based. Imagine a software developer who technically works for a firm in Austin, Texas, but is currently living in Lisbon, Portugal for a year. They aren't entering the local Portuguese labor market. Instead, they're using specialized visas to legally reside there while their entire economic output and their paycheck flows back to that employer thousands of miles away. It's a really fascinating untethering of geography and productivity.
And as you'll see here, the landscape of modern employment is definitely not binary anymore. It's a complex spectrum. On one end, you have traditional employees who are always in the physical corporate space. Move toward the middle, and you find hybrid workers who mix the office and home. Further out are the purely in-country remote workers who almost never commute in, but they're still bound by national borders. Digital nomads take this to the absolute extreme, sitting out on that furthest edge. They've completely decoupled where they live from who they work for, creating a totally new category of global worker. Now, what's really interesting is this dual country dynamic. You have two distinct independent spheres. The individual is physically located in a host country, maybe taking advantage of one of the 40-plus digital nomad visas currently available globally. Yet the entity directing their day-to-day work, evaluating their performance, and providing their compensation remains squarely in the employer's home country. This changes everything because it bridges two completely different legal, cultural, and economic systems for a single role. The employer is now indirectly operating internationally, even if they don't have a single physical office abroad. Wild, right?
Moving right along to Section 2, solving skilled labor shortages by unlocking a global talent pool.
66%. Let that number sink in for a minute. And ask yourself, could your organization afford to lose over half of its workforce tomorrow? 66% of surveyed workers stated they would immediately start looking for a new job if their remote options ceased. Plus, the data indicates nearly 40% would straight up quit on the spot. If your organization is facing a persistent shortage of highly skilled talent, engineers, data scientists, specialized creatives, insisting on geographical proximity is actively shrinking an already shallow pool. By embracing borderless talent, companies can instantly tap into vast, diverse, international labor markets and quickly fill critical gaps that are literally impossible to close locally.
And this isn't just about attracting new individual hires, it's actually a massive retention strategy. A 2022 Permits Foundation study revealed that almost 1/3 of partners of highly skilled international employees want to work remotely for an employer based in another country. Think about the trailing spouse dilemma. You hire a brilliant executive and relocate them to London, but their partner, who has a great career back in New York, suddenly has to resign. By offering remote flexibility, you solve this major global mobility pain point. You don't just attract a great employee, you prevent the loss of exceptional talent whose lives are inherently global, keeping dual career families intact and loyal to your firm. Okay, Section 3. Let's dive into boosting corporate ESG goals and the surprising leverage of remote work.
So, environmental, social, and governance reporting is a massive priority right now, and borderless work presents a really fascinating double-edged sword for the environmental part of ESG. On the pro side, an organization can massively lower its corporate office footprint. That means drastically reduced energy consumption at headquarters and the near total elimination of daily commuting smog from hundreds of employees. But to keep things balanced, you have to weigh those massive reductions against the cons. You are now responsible for the duplicate energy used to heat or cool dozens, if not hundreds, of individual home offices scattered globally. Add to that the reality that true digital nomads often utilize air travel a lot more frequently to hop between destinations. So, while the net environmental impact is often positive, the accounting is definitely far more complex than just turning the office lights off.
Over on the social side of ESG, however, borderless work is an absolute undeniable winner. Look at this. A staggering 80% of digital nomads report high satisfaction with their work, compared to just 59% of traditional workers. They report lower daily stress, enhanced autonomy, and a much better ability to balance their personal lives. And why does this matter for a company's bottom line? Well, because happy, highly satisfied workers take fewer sick days, experience less burnout, and are demonstrably more productive. Boosting well-being isn't just a feel-good metric, it literally translates directly into sustained, high-level economic output for the company. Now we have to pivot to Section 4, downsides and compliance risks. How do we navigate this borderless friction? You might assume offering remote work buys you unwavering loyalty, but actually, the data warns of a serious erosion of traditional corporate connection. When the physical boundaries of a company fade away, job hopping becomes completely friction-free. Think about it. An employee can interview for a highly competitive role in Singapore wearing pajama bottoms while on their lunch break in London, without ever needing to pack a box or plan a relocation. This dramatically increases turnover rates, which ultimately bleeds institutional knowledge right out of your organization. Beyond turnover, we also absolutely cannot ignore the mental health toll. When the traditional office social safety net is removed, prolonged isolation can severely impact your most talented people if left unchecked. And then we hit the governance nightmare. This is the terrifying alphabet soup of cross-border compliance that employers have to master to protect themselves. Let's break down this matrix, starting with corporate tax. There's a massive threat called permanent establishment risk. To put it simply, if your remote employee stays in a host country long enough or starts signing contracts on your behalf there, that foreign government might suddenly decide your company has a permanent physical presence in their country. Overnight, your entire corporation could be subject to their local corporate tax laws. It is a catastrophic financial blind spot. Then there's the chaos of Social Security. If your employee is working from Spain but paid from the US, do you pay into the home country system, the host country system, or both? Employees risk losing their accrued benefits, and employers face double taxation penalties. And finally, labor law. Whose rules apply when you want to terminate an underperforming nomad? Can you fire them at will like in the US, or are they suddenly protected by rigid European labor tribunals just because they spent 6 months in France? These are the brutal legal friction points that can literally blindside an unprepared organization. Bringing us to our final part, Section 5, the Remote Management Master Checklist. This is your execution playbook.
So, on the human resources front, managers must actively combat isolation through deliberate, intentional culture building. Out of sight can dangerously become out of mind, so you have to over-communicate. You need to digitally recreate the organic, water-cooler moments that spark innovation. But more importantly, you must establish hyper-visible career pathways. For example, remote talent needs to see exactly what metrics they must hit to become a senior director, and they need regular virtual one-on-one mentorship sessions with executives. You have to ensure that the nomad logging in from a cafe in Bali has the exact same access to promotion tracks as the employee sitting right outside the CEO's office. Structurally, we've got to lock down those compliance gaps we just talked about. A lot of organizations are successfully leveraging employers of record, or EORs. An EOR legally employs the worker in their host country on your behalf, handling all the local tax withholdings and labor laws so your core business remains completely insulated. Furthermore, you need to rigorously track where your people actually are to avoid triggering those permanent establishment corporate taxes, and assess their remote workspace for occupational safety liabilities. And crucially, standardizing international cybersecurity protocols is non-negotiable. When your company's proprietary data is pinging across unverified Wi-Fi networks in foreign airports and co-working spaces, deploying rigorous zero-trust cybersecurity frameworks is really the only way to prevent devastating data breaches. The demand for digital nomadism and remote flexibility isn't shrinking. It is hardened into the new baseline expectation for top-tier global talent. It's the ultimate test of agility. The companies that figure out these cultural and compliance frameworks first won't just survive the shift, they're going to completely dominate the talent war. I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. If the battle for talent is completely borderless, is your corporate infrastructure ready to cross the line?